So this guy was the pride of Chapleau, Ontario, 5'10", 170, probably one of the most underrated centers of his generation, who was also part of, I don't know what you would call it, a massive joke on him, but where honesty was not the best policy. Now we're going to talk today about the curious case of Ron Schock. Now Ronald Lawrence Schock, born December 19, 1943, played in the NHL from 1964 to 1978. His younger brother, Danny Schock, also played in the show, and a long and strong career. Schock retired following 909 games, recording a total of 166 goals and 351 assists for 517 points. Now, Ron's claim to fame was the double overtime midnight goal that won Game 7 for the Blues over the Minnesota North Stars on May 3rd, 1968, and sent the Blues to the Stanley Cup Finals in its first year of the NHL expansion. Now, the major popularity of St. Louis internationally, Canada States, can be driven by that exciting game. Minnesota was a building squad for sure, but St. Louis and Missouri, its connections to various levels of hockey over the years, Schock's goal really put the Blues on the map as an underrated squad. But despite this, listen carefully, ladies and gentlemen. He didn't finish off his career with St. Louis. He eventually, after doing such an amazing thing, and this was his only goal in the playoffs, by the way, that year. He was at a hockey dinner in St. Louis and was asked jokingly where he would least like to be traded. He said, well, I don't want to be traded to Rangers or Pittsburgh. They're big rivals. But 2 days later, I guess word got around and he was traded to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now, his career with the Penguins solidified the early, what he called, high offensive years of Pittsburgh. I look to the 75 season when he made it to the quarterfinals. He lost back-to-back Toronto in 76 and 77. But Schock was a pure leader for the Penguins, and I tell you why. He was captain between 73 and 77, and his totals weren't totally out there, but between 1970 and 1977, he scored 8, 14, 17, 13, 14, 23, 18, and 17. But the big season for him, again, I talk about 75. I'll ride that to death. 86 points that year, including 63 assists. That was kind of the closest game to being an all-star selection. But again, that 75 Penguins into the seasons that they lost to Toronto, they were very impressive on the offensive. Now, 78, he found himself in Buffalo, but the next 2 seasons of his career, he was mired in the NHL, never got back to the NHL. But I mean, he could have easily played 1,000 games, but Pittsburgh was making a lot of changes. In the late 1970s, they got the influx of a whole bunch of players from the Canadians, and there was no room for him. And at the time, ladies and gentlemen, he was, well into his 30s, and they wanted a younger squad. But what was really interesting about Schock, ladies and gentlemen, he was in the Boston system on and off for almost a decade. He started with Niagara Falls in the OHA. That's a Boston affiliate. Played the Memorial Cup in 63. Then the Minneapolis Blues in the minors. St. Louis Francisco Seals in 66. The only full season he played the NHL for Boston was 67, and these were the years that he never had a chance to play in the playoffs. But again, the St. Louis goal that he scored, again, put St. Louis on the map as a cup contender, and that he is a major part of NHL history. So that's a legend of Ron Schock. Thanks for listening. Bye.